All right, it's the game is the game. As always, definitely hit subscribe. Knicks fans, I want to talk to you guys today. It's just been a bad season for you guys. After being a top four seed last year, today, at the time of this recording, you are 24 and 31. Shy. Losers of your last four, 2 and 8 in your last 10. It's just been bad news for the Knicks. And the only good thing that's happening right now is The Blood in the Garden by Chris Herron. Check that out. It was a great book, great read about the Glory Day Knicks. But even those Glory Day Knicks never won a championship, but they're a lot better than this version of the team. After being a top four seed last season, 7 games under 500 this season. I know a lot of Knicks fans are looking like,
what the hell's going on out here?
And they signed Julius Randle to a massive extension, signed Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. And, they thought they were going to build on that momentum. But here was the truth about last year. It was a fluke. So they had a lot of advantages over the better teams in the league. The first being last season was the quickest turnaround between any NBA season in league history because of the bubble. If you remember, if you were a playoff team or on the fringe of making the playoffs, you went to the bubble and all the other teams didn't. Knicks were one of those teams that didn't go to the bubble. So the Knicks had 287 days from the stoppage of the 2020 season to the start of the 2021 season. 287 days. The Miami Heat, for example, who played in the NBA Finals, only had 73. So you can just imagine the energy gap that the teams that made the playoffs to a team that didn't make the playoffs and the Knicks had. Another reason for this flukish season that they had was there's no fans in the stands. Now, your retort to me would be like, hey, none of the teams have fans in the stands. Why would that be an advantage for the Knicks? Well, the Knicks were only team that were coached by this guy. Love him or hate him, Tibbs teams, they play hard. Will not play for Tom Thibodeau if you don't play hard. His teams play so hard and he's so picky on the players that play hard that he plays his best players a lot of minutes. He runs them into the ground. And, that's just a clear advantage over teams that are not playing hard because of the shortened season. And it's hard to get your energy levels up when there are no fans in the stands. So another advantage for the Knicks was Julius Randle. Now, you would say, hey, Julius Randle, why would he be an advantage? Well, he was in a contract year. And I guess another reply from a Knicks fan, well, there's a lot of players in a contract year. What does that mean? Well, the thing about Julius Randle, if you look at his scouting report, one of the first things it says is he has a high motor. He plays with a lot of energy, a lot of intensity. Juxtapose that with the other great players in the league who, by nature, if you're a great player, your team's going to be good. And if your team was good, you were in the bubble. So you're tired. Brian Rennes reported.
In Atlanta, they did that game in Atlanta. And, there was no international travel allowed, so you really couldn't go outside the country. And it was like between the buzzer and like 1 a.m., there was like 12 private jets that flew from Atlanta to Miami.
Well, I did hear there was one superstar who I'll leave nameless who was trying to leave at halftime. They wouldn't let him.
There was a couple of guys who I think squeezed out before the final buzzer.
A lot of players wanted to leave in the middle of the All-Star game. They were that tired. And it's not like they were in some podunk city like Indianapolis or Utah. Shout out to Utah and everything that was there. I'm sure they have lovely people there. And one of my relatives is out there. So no disrespect. But, that's not a place that NBA players want to go and enjoy themselves. They were in the ATL show and they was trying to get out of there.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
So that just shows you the mental and the physical fatigue that the players had. So, giving Julius Randle that massive extension was another reason for this season being so bad because, as you saw, if you're a Knicks fan in the playoffs, he's not really an all-star level player. I mean, he's a player that his greatest skill is his energy. In the playoffs, a lot of players bring their energy. He's not that really hard to guard. He's not big enough to dominate small forwards and not quick enough to really dominate power forwards. So he's caught in between in a bad way. And then you signed Evan Fournier, who's generally a terrible player in the playoffs. I do not understand that contract. I know Kimba is a New York boy. He had that great moment where he crossed the dude over in the garden, but man, he's finished as a player. I think Boston understood this, and OKC did as well. I just don't understand what the Knicks scouting department saw. So you put all these things together, all the best players on the Knicks play the same position. There's no minutes for Quickly, not enough shots for RJ Barrett. What's going on with this? This is just bad. So why do I think that this is good for the Knicks? Why do I think this tumult is good for the Knicks? Well, you see, Zion and his camp have already expressed displeasure with the Pelicans. The Pelicans GM, David Griffin, has been an abomination to God and man. He's traded away their best players in Crew Holiday, let Lonzo walk. This trade for CJ McCollum, I'm not a fan of it. Josh Hart, he was a player that didn't need the ball and played hard. These are kind of things that you need to win in the NBA, not players who are over the hill. I was excited about the Nance edition, but now I'm hearing that he has knee surgery. So it's just going bad in the Pelicans. And I predict that Zion will be the first guy to pass on his rookie extension and sign a qualifying offer. So a lot of people might say, hey, why would Zion do that? He's had a history of injuries. Wouldn't he protect the money? But, these guys are making so much money off the court now. Zion, if you watch it, he has more commercials than any guy in the league that I know of that hasn't really won anything in this league. So he has that commercial appeal. He's making money off that. And I think that the smart thing for him to do if he really wants out is just to take an insurance policy and sign that qualifying offer and get his career moving to the way that he wants it to move. So the question then becomes, if he does all this, how sure are you that he wants to be a Knick? Well, the reason why I know that Zion wants to be a Knick is the Tony Montana test. What is the Tony Montana test, you may ask?
She like you, man. How do you know?
I know. The eyes, Chico. They never lie.
Experience now, but what was it like to finally get to play in the Garden in the pros?
I'm glad you asked that, actually. I mean, New York is the mecca of basketball. I love playing.
See, the eyes never lie. It's the truth. So, I'm a little bit older in the game. I came up before the Tenders and the Match.coms. I came up in the era where you really had to talk to girls in person. And for the young boys who don't really have that much experience in that, let me tell you something. When a girl shines their eyes at you like that and starts smiling like this, Bucko, you good to go. You good to go, Bucko. And I mean, he wants to be a Knick. I mean, there's articles that were written that said he wanted to be drafted by the Knicks, was disappointed he wasn't. You see him shining his eyes at the reporter talking about the Knicks. He wants to be a Knick. You saw how the Garden was rocking. And as much shade as, quote unquote, I'm throwing on the Knicks of last year, what I think they did, which was really great, it showed superstars around the league that this is what New York will be once they're good. They are craving for basketball. I just talked about the blood in the Garden. They revere that Knicks team that never won anything. They didn't win anything. And they revere it. They were ready to throw a parade for the Knicks when they were above 500. Fans were celebrating in the streets. There's just no love like New York love. And if Zion goes to the Knicks, he might become the biggest thing in sports, not in the NBA, in sports. The Garden has never had a player of that star power in modern NBA. I heard the Pearl was Black Jesus was something else, but I'm talking about modern NBA. Remember the insanity of Linsanity. Melo was a great player, but he's a jump shooter. He's not really bringing the dunks and the highlights that the Zion is bringing. So why does this bad season, another reason that this bad season the Knicks are having helps them is that, they're going to get a high pick. And this year's draft has a lot of big men in it. The Pelicans will be over a barrel if he signs that qualifying offer and says he wants to go to the Knicks. No team in their right mind is going to trade for a player with 1 year left on his contract and pay the price of the brick that it's going to cost.
Price of the brick going up 30 more.
To get Zion, the price of the brick going to go up. That's going to be a high brick. Even if he wants to go there, it's going to be a high brick. But if you remember, when the Pelicans traded Anthony Davis to the Lakers, they were more amenable to do that because the Lakers just so happened to have a lottery pick. So I definitely think that if you're a Knicks fan, you have to suffer is down at the end. It's like running on the treadmill. You're running on that treadmill, you're suffering, but that beach body is coming. The beach Zion is coming. So cheer up, Knicks fans. I know it looks bad, but the beach Zion is coming. All right, so tell me what you think. Leave a comment, subscribe. The game is a game.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, The game is a game. Always.